Well, hello everybody, and welcome to episode 15 in my plant-based weight loss blog. Not that there's been much in the way of weight loss lately. There hasn't been too much gain. I'm up about 4 or 5 pounds from my low thus far of 302, and I've been just kind of skirting there. Plenty of reasons for that, and I'll try and get through it all as quickly as I can. This is going to be quite the doozy of a video, and I don't know when I'll be doing another one, so be forewarned, it might be quite a while, because I really have lost interest in trying to communicate. You know, the whole point in my starting this channel was to talk about good things, you know, just to be able to talk about various topics that would help people concerning, you know, eating a vegan lifestyle, not eating a lifestyle, but you know what I mean. This was never the let's get in front of the camera and sit here and bitch and piss and moan about my sorry ass fucking life channel. And yeah, I'm not going to be curbing my language much either at this point. I'm just gonna say kind of whatever flops out, because I don't really want to try and portray anything other than what I honestly am feeling. And that's what I was getting ready to say. You know, this channel was supposed to be primarily positive, where once in a while, if I had a beef or was upset, I could come on and talk about it and just move on. But the hits have been coming, and they have not stopped coming, and so it's just like, at this point, I'm way down. No other way to really describe it. So let me explain. I guess I can try and give what good news there is, and it is very important good news, and that is that they did find out what was wrong with my wife, but she had developed a really bad cough, and it was getting worse. And there was a day more than a couple months ago now, which I talked about on the McDougal boards in a post, but yeah, I'm erasing my history over there. I'm in the process of it. I'll get back on those boards when I can, you know, feel like I got something good to say, and don't have to pose and you know, portray things as they're not. I don't like anything other than complete honesty, and that includes in how I go about expressing myself. I'm not gonna put on a happy face when I'm friggin' miserable, and I'm not gonna try and dress up a massive pile of shit in lipstick and rouge. Sorry, it's just not how I roll. But anyway, yeah, they did find out what was wrong. We spent a period of weeks, you know, over a month, I believe, tortured by the thought that maybe my wife, who's never smoked and hasn't been around secondhand smoke in years, you know, maybe she had lung cancer, because she coughed up blood, for shit's sakes. And I've had pneumonia, I've had bronchitis, I've had pleurisy. I lived with my mom who was like Miss Human Chimney, 3 packs a day for years. And I suffered. I had a lot of breathing distress for years. Never outright asthma, but anything short of that. Chronic bronchitis. And I never coughed up blood, but she did.
It was just one time.
Yeah, one time is one time more than I have, hon. That's scary shit. So anyway, we spent a long time wondering just what the hell was up. And fortunately, after a lot of tests, redundant tests, injecting the dye and doing the imaging and this and that.
Scan.
CAT scan, that's imaging. Think some blood tests, I don't know what all they did. The exact specifics are not what's important. But they found out she had West Valley. I keep wanting to say West Nile, but West Valley fever, which is a fungal infection in the lungs, and hers, in between imagings, in the space of a month, more than doubled in size, which on its own pretty much ruled out cancer. But I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it was apparently
2.5 by
right,
2, and I went up to 3.2 by 2.5.
Yeah, so that's a couple cubic inches right there. That's a big infected spot. So where's the medication that you're still taking for it? She also had an infection in her leg and was to a point where her leg was swollen and she could barely walk.
Because
Right now they got her taking fluconazole, which is a treatment that the specialist said straight up, you will be taking this for 3 to 6 months at the minimum.
Well, he said that I have to go and visit him.
Right,
to
yeah.
determine when
Okay,
I'm-
thank you. Yeah, she has to visit monthly to determine when she can finally stop, but 3 to 6 months is the pretty much minimum time frame. And I had a couple people message me on the McDougal boards about pets that got this sickness, and someone's dog needed a year to get completely better, and they were about to put the dog down. It was so sick with this fungus, and the vet said, it's crazy, but I'm going to test for one more thing. And that decision saved some nice little puppy's life right there. And fortunately they found out what was wrong with Jeanette, and she hasn't been coughing too much at all now, and definitely no blood. And her leg is looking better. And for all those things, I'm extremely grateful and relieved. But as she's been getting her ducks a little bit more in a row, I have been falling completely the hell apart. She was in the hospital over the period of the day before my disability payment and the day of my disability payment, and they were talking about having her in there for several days. So that's what I expected. And seeing as how it was payday time and the house had very little food, especially not stuff that's really easy for me to prepare, because I had problems standing long periods and stuff like that to begin with, and balance issues even before what has been happening. While she was out at the hospital, I was walking around doing whatever I think getting a gallon of water from the fridge to mix some drink mix or whatever I was going to do. We drink Crystal Light, which I know is not very healthy stuff, but even with a filter, the water here tastes like crap. So, unless you want chlorine swimming pool tasting water, you got to doctor it up somehow, and that's what we do. Anyway, I was carrying a gallon of water back from the kitchen, put my weight on my right knee, which is not the one that has the lymphedema thing that happened a while back when I started the yoga. That was the left knee. And when it hurts and it's hard to walk from the lymphedema, that is something that I know will go away. Well, I was just walking back from the kitchen and my right knee tried to fold completely out from under me like a cheap card table. And I had to grab the doorknob. I was adjacent to the bedroom door, and fortunately I was able to grab the doorknob to steady myself, or I would have fallen. And in the past couple weeks there have been a number of other times where I've almost fallen, and I cannot really risk walking whatsoever without holding on to stuff, because this knee is definitely going. It's funny, I think, because from the time I was, over 500 pounds until I've gotten down to where I am now, 306, 307, there were some brief periods where the knee would hurt a little bit, but never to this degree. And what will happen is, if I stand for more than about a minute and a half to 2 minutes, which is about the amount of time it takes me to get from where I'm sitting here in the bedroom, over to the bathroom if I need to pee or something. Right about the time I'm done peeing or brushing my teeth, if that's what I'm trying to do. Right about what, and that's why I haven't shaved. I've got some nice disposable razors, but I can't stand and keep my balance well enough to even try that without slicing off a cornea or half a lip or my nose or an ear or some crap. So I haven't even been trying to shave. My electric one, the blades were dull, and it was to the point where it was trying to eat the skin off my face more than the beard, so I had to quit using that too. But it's right about the time I get done trying to do something, and then it feels like the leg is just going to fold, and I have to hold on to doorways and lean on walls, and it's just so friggin' pathetic. It just boggles my mind that I've taken off, a little over 200 pounds, and despite that, this knee is going. It's definitely going. I mean, when I'm sitting here, I can extend my leg out like I'm doing now, and more often than not, if I don't hear really messed up pops and clicks, I can put my knee on the kneecap and just feel, like creaking and whatever. So all I've got is Medicare Part A, because there's no way in hell with my wife, with Jeanette, unable to work right now because she's being treated for this thing and has to be on the county medical services. And oh, she could get a job, but our combined incomes would have to be under a certain ceiling or she would lose this coverage completely, which we cannot risk. Not while she's got this West Valley thing. And yeah, I'm tired. I'm definitely tired. I'm just exhausted. I was sitting there like a fool for 4 hours deleting posts from the McDougal forums, and I'm probably just going to go ahead and finish that until such time as I can come back and not drag the entire board down with all of this bullshit, because that's what it feels like to me. I'm sure that's not very rational, but whoever said I was? You know, one of the benefits of a relatively high IQ, upper 130s, close to 140, that's perfect for A, overanalyzing stuff into the ground, and B, a complete lack of common sense. And I've got the market cornered on both. So, you know, whoop-de-shit, I'm intelligent, I have a good memory, I have an eye for details, and plenty of those things, but, you know, look at my life. It's the one and only good thing that's really happened to me is marrying Jeanette, and, you know, that leads me into this whole thing. Can't walk without having to worry about falling. It hasn't happened yet, but I truly believe it's only a matter of time now, because it's been too long, and this is not getting much worse that I can see, but it's getting no better. And when she got sick, and you know, when I started the yoga, which I miss it terribly, but it's impossible for me to do now. I can kind of do the upper body stuff. I can take my arms and I can reach and stretch, and I can, you know, flex the muscles and things like that, which is nice for up here. So I do that from time to time. When I'm just kind of sitting here and think about it, I'll work my upper body some, absolutely, but the lower is, you know, probably need a knee replacement or surgery or something. And from the way it sounds and feels when I bend it and unbend it with my hand on the kneecap, it's just ready to fall apart, I think. And I could be seen for it. I could spend a couple days in the hospital. But the beauty of Medicare Part A is once you're out of the hospital, you're on your own. It's Part B that does all the other shit for like $100 or $110 a month just to get a foot in the door, before covering the co-pays for every doctor visit and for every prescription and so on. So I'm screwed. And with Jeanette getting sick, and with my weight down to a level where, when I started this whole journey, I expected to be back to almost full mobility by the time I was flirting with 300, because, you know, at any other point in my life at 300 pounds, I may not have been, you know, able to run more than a couple hundred yards, but I could ride a bike all over the place, walk all over the place. I was always in semi-decent shape for someone, you know, with a weight problem. I tried, ate horribly, indulged a lot, you know, didn't think about the long term. And, you know, there's that lack of common sense, and here I am now, screwed. I can't depend on being able to accompany Jeanette out to shop with. We have a shopping cart. We don't own a car. That's completely out of the picture. And with the bed bugs, even if we had friends, right here in the apartment complex, which we don't, there's a couple people Jeanette talks to because they own cats or whatever that seem nice. But as far as us having, the two of us having friends with an automobile who could take us out shopping a couple times a month, even if we had them, with these bed bugs in this friggin' apartment, we wouldn't inflict that on anybody. Are you kidding me? Which is the same reason why I don't want to, well, I do, but I won't generally, try to go out and seek any counseling, which I know there is some available on a sliding scale, which I'd probably pay $5 a week to get some therapy or some shit. I'm not about to go into group therapy and share bed bugs with a bunch of other people who are in the same boat I am and trying to get their ducks in a row. So, the weather's going to be cooling down, and here I thought I'd be going out shopping, thought I'd be somewhat active, and now from all indications I can just forget it. I was,
We want to move.
yeah, and we desperately still want to move.
Joe wants to move with us.
And yeah, I had a post in my journal on the McDougal boards, which is now history, about our roommate. That is a whole nother, I'm not even going to get into that in this video because we're over 20 minutes now, and I'm definitely going to keep this under an hour. I know that's long. My apologies. I don't expect many people to get through it. Given how off topic all this shit is from my intended purpose of the channel, honestly, who would want to just sit and listen to me whine? So, yeah, there's more, not counting the roommate situation. Because Jeanette couldn't find work when she busted her ass to try and get some, and then fell sick and had to get on county medical assistance, or quite possibly die from pulmonary infection. I don't know what the survival rate is of untreated West Valley, but if you've got something in your lungs that doubled in size in a month and was making you cough so bad that you barely had any energy, and then she also had the leg problem, which is from still being diabetic in spite of trying to eat all the good healthy food, which we still do usually, but in the recent past we've not been doing so well. I mean, I'll just stress eat anything you put in front of me, and I think it's a miracle of sorts. Not that I'm overly religious, but it does qualify as a miracle that I'm only up 4 pounds right now, 4 or 5, from, when was that, 302? It's been a while, and I'm not showing signs of steadily gaining, which I'll take it. But when she was in the hospital and I assumed she'd be there and my money came in, well, it was a Tuesday or Wednesday, and since there was really nothing to cook, I thought, well, let's call out. And So yeah, Papa John's, they do their $10 large pizza thing during the early week. So I ordered myself a couple of veggie pizzas and figured I would subsist on that until we could figure out somehow to get groceries. Well, the roommate I talked about, he could not do that. So yeah, I had cheese and probably oily crust and oily sauce, but veggie pizza, that's really the only kind I like. The meaty stuff is just too salty, and just I can't bear to think what that would do to me. I mean, the cheese is bad enough. So there you go, full disclosure, the diet has been far from perfect recently, but thanks to this next thing I'm going to go into, we don't have much of a choice. First, a little bit of pre-story. The time frame where Jeanette had to be hospitalized was the same, pretty much the day of the deadline for turning in the paperwork. It's like every quarter. If you're on food stamps, they make you come in. Excuse me. They make you come in every 3 months and turn in paperwork showing any changes in your income or your address or any other details that might affect your benefit amount. And of course, for us, there was no change other than Jeanette getting on the county health, which doesn't pay her anything, so it's not like any income change. So the deadline for getting that turned in, and she was putting it off only because she felt so sick and just didn't want to make a trip down to that office. It's possible to walk it. It's about 2 miles each way, but as sick as she was, that was out. For me, that's definitely out even before the knee went. You know, I've got about 15 minutes on my feet, then I got to sit down for 2 or 3, and then, you know, another 10 or 15. That's really all the stamina I have. So that paperwork had to get in. So she thought, all right, I have to go see my doctor. She had that appointment. So she went in. And the doctor was so alarmed that she wanted to send Jeanette up to the hospital by ambulance. And Jeanette was like, well, I need to take the bus and hand this paperwork in, and, you know, so she did it. It was on the deadline, but she did it. And if you do something on a deadline, by a deadline, last I checked, you're supposed to be copacetic. Well, maybe it's not fair to blame the state of Nevada, but we hate this place with a passion. We hate Vegas. The only reason why she came here was because of my job when we got married. Because I had to be sure I could make the car payments on the car I had at the time and so on, which all ended up for naught anyway when my feet went out. I gave the car back to the credit union before they could even repo it, because I really couldn't even work my dealing job with plantar fasciitis. I couldn't stand. But that's another story, you know, another stupid ass thing from 6 years ago or 9 years ago that doesn't belong here. And I'm getting really sidetracked, and I do apologize. But anyway, yeah, she went ahead and turned in the paperwork on the deadline, then was in the hospital 2 days. And we figured everything was fine. She even called last week, you know, called the office and was like, is everything cool? She does that every time. because the food stamps we get, it's only 160 something a month, but it's desperately needed. We went a long time without them. Didn't think we were eligible before finally it got to be too much, and she couldn't get work, and we applied and we got them, and we were very grateful. But it's not, something that either of us enjoys, having to rely on the system. And any son of a bitch out there who thinks that people who collect welfare, food stamps, or whatever are riding some kind of fancy-ass gravy train, with all due respect, can you do me a favor and fuck off while playing in traffic, please? Because you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and you're plain just really fucking stupid and shouldn't breed. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, she called and, oh yeah, everything's cool. So the first rolls around, and normally our benefit deposit would hit at some point in the morning, like 7, 8 o'clock, because I think they're passed out in Central Time. I think 9 o'clock a.m. Central Time, so I'm pretty sure we get them at 7. Well, we look and our balance is 0. Okay, fine. Call the food stamp office, spend literally an hour just trying to get into the hold queue, and then almost another hour on hold. Talk to the agent that answers, they can't tell us jack shit. They said, yeah, we'll have your caseworker get back to you by what will be tomorrow, Friday, sometime. But still no SNAP benefits, no disbursement. She called again today and literally took over 2 hours to get through. She gets the story that, well, the caseworker was behind. They're admitting to her the caseworker was behind. So the system was behind. And given that they were behind, excuse me, given that they were the ones behind, they felt it quite prudent to leave us in the lurch and not even tell us, and just let us find out for ourselves and spend hours trying to get some kind of goddamn answer. To which my wife was, well, I keep saying my wife, I should just call her Jeanette. I mean, I should just get into that habit. It's not like anyone, y'all don't know at this point that I'm Kirk, she's Jeanette. So anyway, Jeanette got a complaint line number and called that, and they were like, yeah, we're half the state's on food stamps, and oh yeah, this economy. You want to go wading through a big cesspool of shit? Come on out here to Nevada and try looking for a job, or, as you can now see, a social safety net. Here's the social safety net. Land on this finger and try not to fall. So that's pretty much the story we were given. That, well, they're behind, so we may be looking at 2 or 3 weeks now before we even get our disbursement, during which time there is food in the house which needs to be prepared and would be awfully plain. We do have spices, we got beans, We don't have too much else, so we got some grits and a little oatmeal. But, yeah, a few frozen vegetables left. And a little bit of brown rice. So we're okay for a while. But any kind of embellishments, fresh produce items, which we would normally want to get, you know, either when my disability comes in or the food stamps come in, we're out of luck. And it'll be that much more of my disability check that we've already got next to no disposable income. Now we can forget even about, you know, 20-30 bucks or whatever that we might spend for the online game. We play a game like World of Warcraft. It's called EverQuest 2. For each of us, it's $15 a month, which you can't really go out to the movies if you're the type to get all the refreshments and so on. I'd get a diet soda, but the popcorn I don't like anymore, because movie theater popcorn is, even without the butter on it, it's too greasy and it's always too salty. So it would just be a movie ticket and a soda. But 2 movie tickets and 2 sodas, 30 bucks. So yeah, we'd rather sit here and play a game online. Since I can't get out to do much of anything else, that's going to be out. So, you know, and who knows? I mean, we're just one more emergency from having to abandon everything we own and go to Pensacola and live with my mother-in-law, who, don't get me wrong, is a very nice lady. I have vast amounts of respect for her, but, you know, for several reasons, I don't want to get into detail about it. It's not something I really look forward to. Granted, being able to pay her a few $100 a month to stay there would help her, because her and her longtime, well, this is one thing I will say, her and her longtime boyfriend, who was also disabled and at least had that to pad the household expenses, they split up in a really kind of crappy way. And so she's alone, and you know, if it wasn't for having to lose everything, honestly, to take a bus out there, everything but clothes, I'd be willing to do it. Well, that, and we'd end up abandoning our roommate, who is in far worse shape than me. I'll talk about it another day when and if I ever feel like doing another video here. So yeah, my knee is buckling and it ain't gonna heal. Our food stamps are screwed, and it is not in any way our fault. So who knows? Oh, well, yeah, I should mention, she went ahead and called, or not called, but filled out an online form with one of the local TV stations, who called her back almost right away. You know, their Consumer Reports segment that a lot of the network news does. She told them, you know, our food stamps are not being given out because they claim they're behind. And rather than giving any benefit of the doubt, they're just going to take their sweet ass time catching up, and we can all go, you know, lay down in a ditch. So they got back to her, and she explained in a little more detail about that backlog, and they said they were going to check on it, verify whatever they can, and if they can get some verification about the story, they may call back. and come out and shoot an interview.
They asked
Which,
if I would be willing to
yeah,
talk
they
on camera.
yep, and she's definitely willing to do that, and I'm willing to assist. Of course, we keep the crew outside so they don't get our lovely little crawling vampiric friends, because not even the fucking food stamp people deserve bed bugs, at least not at this point. Give me another couple weeks, I may change my mind. So, yeah, pretty much right now, I feel about as useful as tits on a bowl. What little I've been trying to aspire to, just in terms of being able to get to the corner store and back, the grocery store or Target or the dollar store, all of which are barely a quarter of a mile away. I mean, just one medium length city block. That's all. Not gonna happen. So I'm pretty much waiting until I fall and hurt myself and have to go to the hospital, and then I'm sure something will happen which will be far from satisfactory. Hey, but remember, people, we don't need any socialized medicine, because that's evil left-wing shit. And what we need are lots of those mystical, magical bootstraps. And we really need lots of tax cuts for the wealthy, because they're the job creators where you can't find any jobs here in Vegas. Yeah, they're busy creating those jobs that Jeanette couldn't even find in fast food after filling out dozens of online applications. You know, they're a bunch of great people, those rich people with all their tax cuts. You can tell just how much I love them right now, can't you? And yeah, if you don't like my left-wing politics, well, too friggin' bad, because there's, 50 million uninsured, underinsured, children homeless, with parents who had jobs and lost them, lost their houses, lost their apartments. You want to go ahead and try and tell me that a third of the people in this country, or close to a third, are a bunch of useless flea bags who made the wrong life choices? Oh, you go for it, you little squirrely bastards. But no, as for me, I would rather have the socialized kind of health care where by now I would have been fixed up and gotten the education that I really want to get, and I'd be back out there in the workforce paying back all the help I received 10, 20, 30, 50, 100-fold, trying to help other people with food addiction and eating problems get their weight down and learn how to live a better life. But no, instead we got this, and I've got no right knee to walk on. You should see how I look leaning on the table and against the wall. Yeah, so, fuck me. Thank God Jeanette's gonna be alright. And we have one possible escape hatch. Of course, that'll pretty much mean goodbye to our 4 remaining cats and 99% of what we own. But we'll get to see the country by Greyhound and leave the driving to them. Hot damn, people. Just, I'll shut the fuck up now. Have a good day.